Okay, DeAndre Ayton's going to the Lakers. None of us are too surprised by this one, right? It's a 2-year deal with the second year as a player option. I believe it's like $9 million the Lakers are paying. But here's the kicker. The Blazers are paying the majority of this contract, as we would expect from this type of trade situation. Now, while I already said in a couple of videos ago that I think Laker fans are going to be on the DeAndre Ayton roller coaster, sometimes they re-go into love him, sometimes they're not. He's by far their best center now on the roster. Lively became an instant impact player primarily, because of how perfectly he complemented Luka's passing ability and court vision. He has to be content with some of these screens not resulting in him getting a shot attempt. I understand he can make mid-range shots, and that's cool. You're going to see some Luka screens that result in little 15-footers, and that's nice. That's a nice thing in the toolbox to have, but it needs to consistently be Ayton setting hard screens. And what I did on that playoff run for Phoenix, that's the real me. Well, here's your opportunity, man. Again, you got to be aggressive with those aggressive backdowns. I'm taking you to the basket. Give me the damn ball, not just kind of floating around. Also, not just kind of sinking into the game when you do and get the ball for a few possessions in a row. This is going to be the end-all be-all of at least how we feel about DeAndre Ayton moving forward. I mean, even if this doesn't go well with the Lakers, he's still going to have a career somewhere in the NBA. But this is his chance to change the narrative completely. This is literally the perfect setup for him to shut up all the critics and doubters. He's just kind of looking at him before he remembers. Oh yeah, I have to try to contest this. That clip perfectly encapsulates everything frustrating about Ayton's game. The lack of intensity, the delayed reactions, the passive approach to physical plays. He gets pouty when things don't go his way. He disappears for stretches. He doesn't seem to have that killer instinct that separates good players from great ones. But playing with elite playmakers like Luka and potentially LeBron, being in the spotlight of Los Angeles, having a chance to prove himself on a championship contending team, sometimes that's exactly what a player needs to unlock that next level. The talent has always been there. It's just a matter of consistency and mentality. They don't need him to be Anthony Davis. They need him to be a reliable physical presence who can protect the rim, rebound, and finish around the basket. The bar isn't impossibly high, but he has to meet it consistently. This Lakers opportunity is probably his last chance to prove he belongs in the conversation of elite NBA centers. And being as aggressive and as physical as we can possibly ask of him around the basket. The mental part of his game that has always been questionable. Staying engaged when he is not getting touches. His career high is 3 per game. I'm not expecting him to suddenly have a big jump in that category just from playing with Luka. But it's got to be more than 1 per game. That's telling you everything you need to know about his aggressiveness level around the rim. The way Luka can thread passes through the tiniest windows. His ability to sell the defense on drives and then drop perfect passes to rolling big men. It's elite level stuff. When you're 7 feet tall and athletic, you should be living in the paint, drawing fouls, and making life difficult for opposing defenses. The Lakers need him to be a physical presence first and foremost. If he's just floating around taking jump shots, they could have signed a much cheaper option to do that same thing. When you're re-getting a guy who's averaged double-digit rebounds and points throughout his career for basically pennies on the dollar, you take that risk every single time. I'm gone nah, say LeBron too. There's a lot of LeBron something in the air right now. So let's try to make the case for him in LA. Ayton did play with Chris Paul before in that heavy pick-and-roll offense in Phoenix, the whole thing. But Luka is just a whole different animal entirely. The financial flexibility this gives them is enormous. If it doesn't work out, they're not stuck with a massive contract killing their cap space for years to come. Getting him for this cheap makes any frustrations with him feel at least a little bit better. You can't argue with the value proposition here. The Lakers needed a legitimate center. Despite all of Ayton's inconsistencies and question marks, he brings size, athleticism, and proven NBA experience. You can imagine him playing off of Luka Doncic. What Luka does to lob threats, to roll guys, all that stuff, I mean. What we saw Derek Lively doing in his first season with Dallas as a lob threat was a massive thing, right? Now, the thing is with DeAndre Ayton, and this goes with the DeAndre Ayton roller coaster I mentioned, is that he needs to be ready to set hard screens for Luka and Austin Reeves. And I'll still say LeBron for right now. I don't know. For as many possessions per game as they need him to. Also, what he absolutely cannot do is set these screens and then just float around to like the free throw line all the time. I mean, I've referenced this many times. His free throw attempts were like 1 free throw attempt per game this past season. The mid-range game is fine as a compliment, but it can't be his primary mode of operation. But hey, if there was ever an opportunity for a physically gifted big guy to prove, no, you guys are all wrong about me. To go along with this, there's possibilities of if he's running screens with Austin Reeves, and they result in switches with smaller guys on him. The mental side has always been Ayton's biggest weakness, so we'll see if he can do it. It's the only clip I can find of the guy on Twitter. Right now is that one where he like under the basket as Jokic gets the offensive rebound. But here's the thing. If he can flip that switch and play with consistent energy and aggression, it could be exactly what the Lakers need. That takes us to the defense, where Dorian Finney-Smith is gone. Jake LaRavia can switch across a few positions, but he's not going to be starting. Look, Ayton is not going to take an okay defense and make it a good or very good one. I don't think he can take a bad defense and make it way better either. Ayton just needs to play with a level of intensity and physicality and all that stuff that sometimes been there. He's going to have some big games for the Lakers. He's going to have some games where he and Luka's two-man game is looking really good, not too much. And that was one running thing with the Lakers offense, where after they got Luka, they just slowly went into more. But hey, if you have a big man who can really draw in extra attention from the defense, which can open up more kickouts for corner shooters from Luka or Reeves or LeBron, I'm keeping LeBron in this conversation right now. For Rui Hachimura, if Ayton can be a consistent screen-setting threat who forces defenses to make decisions, it could open up the entire offense for everyone else. LaRavia, etc. Then Ayton can also still convert enough of those rolls to the basket, just again being more physical about the whole thing. And more of just get the switch. Try to cook and all that isolation basketball. When smaller guards get switched onto him, he should be able to punish that matchup every single time. They'll do it, man! Did anybody predict that Luka and Ayton would be on the same team one day in whatever draft they were together in? There's probably some tweet that somebody will find from years ago. I don't know, and I just saw it's 2 years with the player option. Post him up, back him down, get to the rim, draw fouls, this should be automatic. The Lakers are betting on Ayton's talent and hoping that the right environment and coaching can unlock his potential. He'll have stretches where he looks like an all-star, and then he'll disappear for weeks at a time. The Lakers are hoping that playing for a championship contender in the bright lights of Los Angeles will keep him motivated and engaged. If it works out, this could be one of the best value signings in recent memory. If it doesn't, well, at least they didn't mortgage their future for it. Either way, it's going to be must-watch television. JJ Redick is going to have his hands full managing this personality and getting the most out of him. The partnership with Luka has the potential to be really special if Ayton buys into his role and plays with consistent effort. But too often in his career, he's been content to just take a fadeaway jumper or settle for a contested shot instead of using his physical advantages. The Lakers need him to be more decisive and aggressive in these situations. But hey, listen, for everything I've said critically, I mean, he still averaged like 15 and 10 on good efficiency this past season. At the end of the day, he's not a bad player. He's the best option they've got at the center position. And for them, he's cheap. All the offensive numbers suggested that when the Lakers didn't run an actual play, I mean this was from Cranjus McBasketball. If Ayton can consistently beat switches with smaller guys on him, and this is all going to come down to just how good Ayton is at being as physically imposing as we hope he can be, then this partnership could really work. This is like a very big name in Lakers Twitter. When the Lakers had more of an actual structured play on offense, the offense was significantly better. And when they just kind of did whatever, it was worse. He's making pick-and-pop mid-range jumpers. He's finishing at the basket. He's getting putbacks. And he's just looking like a physical dude who can dominate inside. But I also think he could be part of a good defensive system as well. Whether JJ Redick ends up playing him in typical drop coverage or having him high up on screens, and then getting back into the play, whatever approach they take, we will see in time. But he doesn't need to be Rudy Gobert or even Jared Allen. He just needs to be solid, consistent, and engaged. If he can give them 82 games of competent defense without any major lapses or effort issues, that's actually a win for this Lakers team. They have other pieces who can handle the more demanding defensive assignments. The Lakers' defensive identity is still being figured out with their new coaching staff and roster construction. They're going to need Ayton to be at minimum, a competent rim protector who can rebound and not get completely exposed in switches. The reality is that Ayton has never been a defensive anchor, and he's probably never going to be one. Can he find ways to keep Ayton involved, even when the offense isn't running through him? Can he hold him accountable for effort plays without destroying his confidence? These are the coaching challenges that will determine whether this partnership works or becomes another frustrating chapter in Ayton's career. But regardless of the defensive scheme, it all comes down to the same thing. And then other times, he's just going to be floating around out there like a ghost. That's the Ayton experience in a nutshell. But again, getting him for this price point, that's cool. The Lakers can live with some inconsistency when they're not paying premium money for it. The key is going to be JJ Redick's ability to keep him engaged and motivated throughout the season. Would I expect Ayton to be used as like an offensive hub by JJ at all? So that's definitely a question with JJ's offensive system. The Lakers have struggled with offensive flow and ball movement in recent years, often falling into too much isolation basketball. I feel like I'm going to repeat myself on that physicality point, but it's that important. I mean, if he's just kind of floating around and taking 15-footers and hook shots and just kind of being out there without any real impact, then all right, whatever. The switching game is where Ayton could really make his mark. He's not cheap for the Blazers for one more season, but the Lakers don't got to worry about that financial burden.
Alan, this is going to be fascinating to watch unfold.
But we've seen this movie before with Ayton.